Hey everyone, hope you're okay. Welcome back here to Busy Bee Budget. It's lovely to have you along. I hope you've had a good week. This week seems to have gone really quickly. I don't know about you guys. This year just seems to be like flying by. I can't believe it's July next week. But fairly uneventful week for me budget-wise. But I do have to pull some stuff back after my weekend away. So I'm going to kind of go through what I've got left over from last week, and then I'm going to do something slightly different with my cash stuff this week, which I've not done before, but I've seen other people do. So if that looks like something you'd want to watch, then please stick around, get yourself a cup of tea or whatever, and we'll get into it. So these are my day-to-day envelopes that I use in my purse, and as you can see, I've got 5 left over from food. I'll put that to one side. I've got 10 left over from miscellaneous. Nothing left in social, nothing left in spends, and nothing left in fuel, which I've just dropped on the floor, helpfully. Then in my main envelope, I've got nothing left in food, nothing in fuel. Self-care, I think I've got 30. Yep, 30 in there. Nothing left in social, nothing in miscellaneous, nothing in spends, nothing in giving, and nothing in experiences. So this week I was supposed to be stuffing £240, and that's kind of when I did my monthly budget. That's kind of what I'd allocated for this week. But what I'm actually going to do is reduce that down to £200, because I overspent. I went on a trip away. I overspent by 105. I've already paid back 20 of that. So I've got £85 that I need to kind of pay myself back, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is reduce this week's budget by 40 and then next week's by 45. Just because this week I have got like a big social thing at the weekend, which I know is going to be expensive. So I'm going to slightly reduce more next week when I know I haven't got anything else. So what I'm going to do is I need to take £40 off this week. So what I'm going to do is not stuff self-care, which was supposed to be getting 20, and then I'm going to reduce social and spend from 40 to 30. So 20 there, 10 there, 10 there. That should give me the £40 difference. But what I'm also going to do is this £15 which I pulled out from my envelopes, I'm going to pop back in my cash. I'll do that in a second, to kind of top that up. So usually I just roll this forward, but what I'm going to do is is kind of add it back into my stuffing, if that makes sense. So I should have 185 here. So 20, 40, 60, 80, 90, 100. Does anyone else annoy when it's not all the same way up? 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 170, 180, 185. And then the 15 that I pulled out of my purse, I'm going to add back in. So that's 90 and then 200. So that's going to give me my 200 cash stuff. So technically, actually, I've paid myself back 55, if that makes sense. But I've knocked 40 off this week's cash stuff, if that also makes sense. So actually, next week, I only really need to save £30 to take me back to the 85 to pay back myself. Sorry, this is really complicated, but in my head, it makes sense. So hopefully, it will make sense for some of you guys. But anyway, so that will give me the 200 to stuff today. So if I sort that out. And I think what's good while I'm doing that is like the budget process has just made me think a lot more about it. So before I would have just kind of thrown whatever money at that weekend, not really worried about it, and not really adjusted the rest of the month. So I think by doing it through the cash stuffing method and having a bit more of a budget, it just means I'm a bit more conscious. So I'm consciously kind of, I guess, adjusting my budget for the rest of the month. To kind of reflect it. So I think this is why the big difference is that I'm finding not necessarily money at the end of each month, because I'm not finding that at the moment, but it's allowing me to really obviously stuff these sinking funds in a way that I didn't before, and just have a much more systematic method, I think, for things. I think every month before I started doing cash stuffing, I was just dealing with whatever expenses came in that month, and there was always something, whether or not it be a big bill like your car insurance or a big lot of social events or whatever it happened to be, whereas now I feel like there's a lot more kind of planned and a lot more kind of manageable. So I mean, it might all be in my head, but it feels like much more sorted, especially as I know that at the beginning of the month I'm what they call paying myself first, I guess, and like I'm stuffing these sinking funds and making these a priority, and then adjusting what's left. rather than the other way around, which is what, like, spending whatever and then not having very much to put aside for other things. So I think that's been for me like the big difference. So I'm just going to pop that over there. And then I'm going to go back to my everyday binders. So food is going to get 100. So 20, 40, 60, 80, 90, 100. And what I have been doing is each month been giving myself essentially £400. So if it was a 4-week month, I'd get £100 a week. And if it was a 5-week month, I was giving myself £80. But what I'm going to do is give myself £100 going forward, just because obviously the cost of stuff is just going up. Like I noticed, like the coffee that I use again has gone up yet again. So it's kind of gone from like £3 to like £4.20 in the space of like a couple of months. And actually the first time ever I popped into Marks and Spencer's, which I know is fancy, to get some, I wanted to get some lamb. But like for the first time ever, I was like, oh my God, that's so expensive. I'm not going to buy it. So I think just with food prices the way they are, I'm going to, for July's budget, I'm going to allow £100 a week. And I know it's generous, but it covers my food, my husband's food, takeaways. It covers our dog's food. It covers toiletries, including like hair dye and stuff. And also it covers cleaning products. So although it's food, it's actually whatever I buy at the supermarket and like takeaways and stuff. So yeah, I'm going to do that going forward. But anyway, that's 100 for this. Fuel's getting 20. And last month I kind of filled my tank up. It's half full at the moment, but I have got a couple of big trips this week. So I think the fuel money for this week and next week will probably go straight back into the car. And I'll probably end up about where I am, if that makes sense. So what I might do at the beginning of July is put more money at the beginning of the month. So maybe like, I don't know, £60 at the beginning and then just £10 a week after. And kind of fill my car up and try and keep it filled up, if that makes sense. So right, that's fuel. Self-care is not going to get anything this week. I've already got 30 in there. I haven't got a massage this week. So I'm just going to leave that and roll that over for next week. Social, like we said, is going to be reduced down to 30. So 10, 20, 30. We're going on we're going to a gig this week. But I've already paid for the tickets and the transport. So it should just be drinks and stuff. So I'm hoping between social and spends that should like cover it, bit of food and stuff and whatever. And miscellaneous is going to get 10. Spends, as we said, is going to get 30. And then giving is going to get 10, the final 10. So I'm reasonably comfortable that once this week is out of the way, which is the last week where I've got kind of big social expenses, because when I was doing my budget, I did allow 500 for events, which kind of covered that weekend away I had with my friend, and then also this weekend coming with the gig. So that's all kind of been spent now, and that won't happen next month. But I'm really comfortable now that I've adjusted kind of the final 2 weeks just to bring me back, so that by the end of this month I'll be square. I don't owe myself anything for the trip away. What I've not been very good at this month is no spend days. It feels like pretty much every day I've kind of spent so far. So hopefully after next week I can kind of get some no spend days in the diary. And also, because hopefully social life will calm down slightly, I should be able to start thinking about selling some stuff. So I really want to aim towards a minimalist way of life, really, but like more generally, which kind of the money is contributing towards. But for those of you who've been following me for a while know that I started a clothing diet, so I haven't bought any new clothing since I started this budgeting back in February, and I'm not intending to for the rest of the year. And actually what that's shown me is, like, I have loads of clothes, so I definitely want to sell some and get rid of some, but also I just don't think I will go back to buying as many clothes. I think it's really helped show me what I wear and what I don't wear, and I would really, I guess, love to try doing a capsule wardrobe or doing one of those challenges where you just, you know, have very few pieces of clothing, and would allow me to buy more sustainable and stuff. So that's I'm definitely going to keep up the clothing diet for the rest of this year. I've also kind of been musing, having done the clothing diet and actually really liked it, I've been musing with like a couple of other categories to do it for. And I think what I've decided is, so makeup, I'm not going to buy any more makeup unless something needs replacing, i.e. like unless my mascara runs out or whatever. But I'm not going to buy like another lipstick or a blusher or anything that you kind of will buy just because you fancy it, if you like. So I guess it's a difference between, I mean, not that anyone needs makeup, but, you know, wants and needs. So it's about this kind of, I guess, more conscious spending for me. So yeah, I'm going to kind of say from this point onwards, so from July onwards, I'm not going to buy any makeup for the rest of the year. Like I say, I can replace stuff that I use up, and that's fine, but I'm just not going to kind of buy anything. And then the second area I'm going to apply this also to, this kind of spending diet, is kind of stuff for the house, really. So, you know, like candles and throws and blankets and all like the nice touches that I kind of like to refresh. And I think I've definitely been on Instagram too much and stuff. You just see people with these gorgeous houses, don't you, like gorgeous interiors, and you just kind of get slightly sucked into it. So I think what I'd like to do is like commit to not buying anything else for the house. I've got tons of stuff already. And also, if we're thinking about moving, which we might do next year, I want to start getting rid of some stuff so that process is easier. So yeah, clothing diet is going to be expanded now to like makeup and anything for the home. So what I'm expecting is maybe the spends category will come down, because those are the kind of bits and pieces that I pick up as part of spends. But spends also for me is stuff like a coffee when I'm out or whatever. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But generally, like, super happy with how things have gone. And like I say, I think the biggest difference for me is noticing, like, this month when I've had a really heavy social month, is just adjusting everything else so that I can still hit my financial goals. And I think that's kind of the biggest difference in terms of like behaviour and changing the way I think about it all. So thanks for sticking around for what ended up being a real ramble. I hope you have a good week. Like I say, for me this week hopefully should be the last of the big spending weeks, and then I can settle down into a bit more of kind of a routine and normality. And I think it is this consciousness, and I guess also with a food budget, I know it's high, but obviously it's just not going as far as it used to be. So I think maybe a bit more meal planning and a bit more like intention around that as well kind of might be something else that I want to think about. So I hope you have a good week. I hope that the weather stays good for you. It's Wimbledon next week, which I love a bit of Wimbledon, so I will definitely be watching some of that. So I hope you're all good. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.